Hello, ladies. This is Ebony Phoenix. Long time no hear from, huh? Right? I am going through some transitions. I am trying to find some of the most informative material that I can bring to you in a way that is clearly understood and easy to do. This is a presentation about contraception. And when I was a young lady, there was a big song by Madonna. I was a big Madonna head about it's called Human Nature, and one of the part of the chorus is didn't know we couldn't talk about sex. And I'm not sorry, it's human nature. I'm not your bitch. Don't hang your shit on me. This is very apropos of for the times, right? With the horrible, misguided Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade, you ladies need to know what options you have out there. So that is my job. I take that on as a part of my job. And this is a longer presentation, so let's get on with it, okay? Female anatomy is something you need to know about. Your lady parts, right? Okay, so let's go through a brief female reproductive anatomy lesson, okay? This is not a medical lecture. This is just informative for the community to know, and mostly young girls. And a lot of you, this will be a lot of review, okay? That's okay. That's okay. The more we have out there of the truth, the less people can lie to us, right? So let's move on. Okay, every part has a function, right? So we have the cute little fallopian tubes. You can think of the whole female pelvic anatomy as kind of a reproductive anatomy as an inverted triangle. So we have endometrium, okay? We have endometrium. We have the fallopian tubes that are attached to the ovaries, these little cloud-looking things here. This is a ligament that's attaching things to the wall here. This is the uterus. The inside of the uterus builds up, of course, every month, depending upon your ovulation cycle. Some people are irregular, have irregular cycles. Some people have very regular cycles, every 20 to 30 days, sometimes 22. So it just depends on that particular woman or girl. And we have the cervix here, which is the entrance to the uterus, and the vaginal canal. Okay? That's a little cartoon so you can get the basics. Okay, here's a sagittal or sideways view. Another little cartoon. Here we can easily see with the colors. There's the rectum, okay, and see the uterus sits up here, okay, and here's the vaginal canal going down, okay. And then we have the bladder, which holds the pee, right? And so look at how things are in relation to each other. Here's the remainder of your backbone, pubic bone, and here's the outside of the vaginal canal where we have the clitoris. There's different sections to the clitoris, and the labia here, and there's the vaginal opening here, okay? So let's take a realistic picture here. This is an MRI scan of a normal woman with normal anatomy. And this is the uterus. Of course, you see the uterus sitting on top of the bladder. That's why when you're pregnant, it's time to go to the bathroom a lot, right? Here's the vaginal canal coming down from the cervix and the uterus. And this is the rectum behind all of that, right? And here's some bowel here, okay? Large intestine here, okay? And of course, this is the end of the backbone. And here's the coccyx and sacrum down here. So next. All right, to let you understand understand that this stuff is just not suspended in air by nothing, right? There are ligaments that hold this anatomy in place. Sometimes a woman's uterus is shaped a different way. It may be like looks like a heart, or there may be a septum coming down into the uterine canal. And that's a special condition that we can talk about later, but not in this presentation. Birds and bees and other stuff. This is for you young ladies out there, the young girls, okay? There's sexual maturity. When a woman or a girl enters sexual maturity, there's several different ways of looking at sexual maturity, and all of them are important. Physical sexual maturity, that means puberty. You're going through a growth spurt. That's why you have your aching joints and your bones are getting longer. You have breast development and they're a little tender. There's armpit and groin hair. Okay, your ovaries are getting ready to start a period, start having a monthly period. Okay, and that is the physical part. Your hips widen a little bit, your waist gets a little narrower, and your breasts start developing. But most important, I feel, is the emotional and spiritual part of sexual maturity. You have to have a stable sense of who you are, and you have to be protective of who you are and understand that that person who you are is worthy of being protected, right? You can handle rejection. Self-esteem is not dependent on the direction of other people. You can listen to wise advice of other people, and you listen to good advice, and you know the difference between right and wrong. And bodily autonomy is paramount, because if you have no boundaries and you let anybody do anything to you, which is usually what happens when children are sexually molested at an early age, they can't form those boundaries and say, hey, I'm important. Don't touch me unless I want to be touched, and I don't want anybody touching me. Okay? I don't care if your uncle, cousin, dad, stepdad, God forbid. But a lot of women in the Black community have gone through this, and they don't understand it. This is not right, and no one has a right to do that to you. Okay? So you along with your physical sexual maturity, the other emotional and spiritual sexual maturity comes later, unfortunately. I mean, it would be great if you could do the emotional and spiritual part first and then let your body grow and develop the way it's supposed to. But usually your body gets out of the gate first, and the rest of it stays behind, and it develops later. Let's talk about some myths, some sexual myths, before we get into the nitty-gritty of this presentation. And I'm going a little bit fast because I've only allotted a certain amount of time for this. So you can go back and go through the slides in your spare time, or when you just feel like you got nothing to do and you want to go through them again, okay? Myths, birds and the bees. Okay, let's talk about a few sexual myths first. Masturbation will do stuff to your body. It's bad for you. That's a lie. If anything, this is the best way to explore what you would like and not like sexually, okay, without running the risk of catching a sexually transmitted disease, okay? It won't make you blind. It won't make you barren, nothing like that. Masturbation is something you should do. And I truly believe girls approaching adolescence should understand what a vibrator is, and understand what her body can do and why it's special and why it deserves protection. Another thing is an intact hymen means you're a virgin. That's baloney. Okay, a hymen can be broken if you play, you slide down the slide, you're on the monkey bars, riding the bike. It doesn't mean you're not a virgin. If your hymen breaks, okay? It can break anyway. Now, I know this is a touchy thing where in societies where virginity is used as currency, and that's such a big basket of a hooey. So an intact hymen does not mean that you're a virgin. And if the hymen is not intact, doesn't mean that you're not a virgin. Okay? So, get that out of your head. Virginity is currency. To some people, it's currency, and those people you don't need to deal with. Some societies are like that. You don't need to deal with that. And that's not the case in all cultures. Body count and self-worth. Okay. There are a lot of people in the YouTube streets or the social media hacks are talking about, the more people you sleep with, the less you're worth. Now, this is bizarre. It's just sexual activity. It's a very natural thing. There's there's nothing wrong with having sex. Should not be any shame attached to that. And any church or any theologian, whatever is walking up to you in a robe saying that you're nothing, then that's not of God. If you're those people who believe of God or believe about God, okay? That's ridiculous. That's trying to control you. Don't let it. Don't let it. They don't have a right to control you. You have a right to control you. Only you. And the whole concept behind blue balls, good Lord. It's basically, if a guy hasn't had sex for a while and he's real horny, well, that ain't your problem, is it? His sexual needs are not your problem, okay? And that goes for homosexuality. That goes for bisexuality, too. Somebody else's libido is not your problem. And the fact that they hadn't had it in a while is not your problem. Next. It should hurt the first time. You know what? That's a lie too. If the woman is aroused, okay, and she's aroused at the point of sexual intercourse, that's good. That's great. Okay? If it doesn't hurt, doesn't mean that you were never a virgin, and it doesn't even mean anything about your self-respect or what your worth is. Okay, because you may not have any pain the first time you have sex. Okay, a lot of women do, but you may not. If you are sexually aroused, that means you're not a virgin. That's a lie. That's a big piece of baloney too. Stealthing, when a person you're having intercourse with someone and they take that condom off. That is not okay. It's sexual assault. Did you hear me? It's sexual assault. You get up and say, hey, whoa, we didn't talk about that. You didn't get my permission to do that, okay? A lot of guys think consent is questionable. No means no, damn it. Nada, niet, nine, no. Oh, you cannot get pregnant if you haven't had your first period. Talk to some of those girls who've gotten pregnant at 10 years old. Okay, so you can become pregnant before your first period because you just hadn't had it yet, but that doesn't mean you don't know when you're ovulating. Okay, and it just hasn't come yet. But yeah, you can get pregnant. You surely can. You can't get STI with oral. Lord, I don't even know who came up with that. That's a lie. You can. It's not in your reproductive system. It's in your mouth. Oral sex is not sex. That's bullshit. Yes, it is. I don't care what the ex-president said. You can't become pregnant after rape. I've heard this one, and it is so bizarre. Talk to those up to 30% of the women who have become pregnant after being raped. Yes, or sexually assaulted. Yes, you can. You can't become pregnant with a condom. Oh, yes, you can. If that condom does not fit well, if it breaks, if it slips off. Oh, yeah, definitely. Wearing tampons means you're not a virgin. That's a big fat lie, okay? A virgin, I put that in quotes, is someone who has just never had vaginal intercourse. Okay, if you're putting tampons up in there to take care of your menses, what does that have to do with sex? Really nothing, okay? Let's talk about contraception. You don't want to be a mama, you don't have to be. Babies are expensive, and being in the Black community and being female, especially a very young adolescence, that is a very dangerous time for you, and we will talk about that later. It's a risk. There are types of contraception. There's barrier methods, there's hormonal methods, and then there's permanent methods, okay? Barrier methods include male condoms, diaphragms, and the female condom. Okay, let's talk about the female condom. Here, this is the opening. You put this in kind of like a tampon. You put it in and you stretch it out so that the vaginal walls and the cervix are covered, okay? Because if you don't use a barrier method correctly, your effectiveness goes down, as well as your risk of contracting a sexually transmitted infection goes up, okay? Okay, cervical sponge. Back in my day, I think when I was growing up, we had something called the Today's sponge. I don't even know if those are still on the shelves. A cervical cap. You put a cap on top of the cervical os so that no sperm can get through there. Okay, and let's look at the barrier placement here. There's a diaphragm over the cervix in this part of the uterus, covers it. And so to stop the fertilization of an egg, okay? Now, the effectiveness of a barrier method depends on whether a woman has given birth, okay? Nulliparous, that means you've never had a vaginal birth in your life, okay? Multiparous means that she's had babies coming through the vaginal canal at one point, okay? Now, so this is a little cartoon. It's perfectly round and has a round, it's called a cervical os, okay? But if you've had children before, this thing has stretched out a little bit and the os gets more linear, okay? So this is a actual picture of someone's cervix and a picture of someone who's actually had a baby, no baby, had a baby, no baby, okay? Let's look at the size comparisons so you can kind of tell the difference if you're not familiar. Okay, for those of you young ladies who are not familiar. Okay, this is the male versus female condom. A male condom is supposed to sit snugly over the penis from the base down the shaft to the tip. Okay, female condom is larger, can be larger to accommodate difference in the size of the vaginal canal. This is a diaphragm, okay? This is a cervical cap. Hormonal methods. Okay, let's talk about that. Everybody's heard about birth control pills, but you can use birth control pills for different things. If you have irregular bleeding, it can actually affect your acne. So, birth control pills are used for more than contraception. That's all I'm saying. Then there are implants, right? Beneath in the subcutaneous tissue of your arm. You don't have to think about it. This stuff you don't even have to think about. It's always emitting a hormone, constantly emitting a hormone. But the pill, you have to look at it. There are days of the weeks here, and it tells you, you have to take the pill every day at the same time, preferably. If you miss the time window, go ahead and take it the first you think about it, okay? And this is an IUD. Now, this particular IUD is a Paragard, but there are IUDs that do emit hormones, like the Mirena, okay? Other hormonal methods include a vaginal ring. You see where it fits? Okay, remember we said that this was the uterus, and this is like the cervix, lip of the cervix here, and these are the fallopian tubes, and these are where the little eggs come out, travel down the tube. Okay, and when you get it out of the package, this is what it looks like. Okay, a vaginal ring is a hormonal method of contraception or birth control. Shots, you can take Depo-Provera shots. You could actually use a patch. A transdermal patch can give a certain amount of hormone every day, and you don't even have to think about it, right? And that's why these varieties of contraception came along because you do it and forget it, right? Very convenient. Now, there are side effects to hormonal methods. Shots, pills, patches, implants, rings, IUDs. The side effects usually, if they, last 2 to 3 months, if they last longer, then you need to switch to a different contraceptive pill or a different formulation, okay, of a patch or whatever. Let's say weight gain. You can have some women, there's an increased risk for pulmonary embolus. That is a blood clot to your lungs. And that is really, really high risk if you smoke. Okay, smoking and birth control, hormonal birth control, does not mix. Okay? It does not mix. So if you're going to use hormonal birth control, it'd be best if you're a non-smoker. If you are a smoker, non-hormonal birth control would probably be a better option for you. Irregular bleeding, mood changes, sore breasts. I mean, even with PMS, I mean, you can get mood changes and sore breasts, right? Other medications that you may take, like antibiotics, can decrease the effectiveness of the birth control method, hormonal birth control, okay? Keep that in mind. It can make hypertension and diabetes worse. It can, and in some women who have a genetic risk factor, it can increase your breast cancer risk, okay? That risk depends on whether it's progestin only or a mixture of progestin and estrogen, you know. So talk with your doctor about the medications that you take before you get put on a contraceptive, okay? Comparisons of effectives comparisons. Okay, always use contraceptive methods consistently every time. Overall effectiveness depends on it. Okay, thought I corrected the slide, but I didn't. Excuse me. Excuse the typo. Permanent methods, highest long-term effectiveness. Of course, if you want to be sterilized, that's up to you. And so that's pretty much 100% effective, okay? And you won't have to worry about it at all. Now, unless you're sterilized, always use a combination of birth control methods and use them correctly each time. If you're trying to do the withdrawal method, in conjunction with your ovulation cycle. See, ovulation cycles can be put off by a lot of things, exercise being one of them. So a lot of times people using the rhythm method, you can call them mamas, because that's what's going to happen. You're going to end up mama. Permanent methods, sterilization. You can get a tubal ligation, or he can get a vasectomy. And there's the Issue procedure that they used to do for sterilization that caused a lot of issues with a lot of women. It was immunogenic, and basically they took it off the market. Emergency contraception, Plan B. Oh, wow. It is progestin. It should be taken within 72 hours of unprotected sex. No effect on future pregnancies. Less effective in women who have a BMI of greater than 30. A European study showed less potency at greater than 175 pounds. And those women, alternative methods of contraception was suggested. What does Plan B do? It inhibits ovulation. It prevents egg fertilization, prevents attachment to the uterine wall. It can be ordered online or brought from a drugstore. Now, if you're in one of those crazy ass states that allow some pharmacist who does not know you to not sell you Plan B, just get it online, please. Now, another thing is the Paragard ID can also be used. And it should be placed within 5 days of unprotected sex. 10 years of effectiveness follows, okay? Paragard is an IUD that is copper-based. It has no hormones in it, okay? And it's a very effective form of birth control. They usually give Paragard to women who've had at least one child. There are some states that protect a woman's right to choose abortions if need be. Most abortions, 95% of them, are done using Plan B, okay? So there are some states that do protect choice. I'm going to give them shout outs here. Alaska, Washington, Oregon, Nevada, California, Colorado, New Mexico. That new prefix tells you, good choice state, right? New York, New Jersey, New Hampshire, Minnesota, Illinois, Vermont, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Maine, Maryland, Delaware, and Washington, D.C. So in these states, your access to birth control is unrestricted. You can just live your life as you see fit, okay? And get what you need. And if you need a termination procedure, then you can get it. No muss, no fuss. Now, here are some states with outright abortion bans or a 6-week ban or severe restrictions. And these are the worst offenders. There are other states that could be on this list, but they're not quite there yet. These states are, generally have shitty schools, sad healthcare, sad people, lots of Republicans, pathetic Democrats, and judgy church people, and high sexual assault rates. Look at that. So, Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, Idaho, Mississippi, Texas, Missouri, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, all those South states, right? With South in the front of the name there. Tennessee, Wisconsin, and Utah. Now, the states that I have highlighted and read have a high percentage, top 10, of sexual assault, okay? And this was sexual assault statistics by state in 2022. And here is the source. Also, the state of Utah is also high on the list for forcible rape. That came from Statistica from July 2022. So these are pretty up-to-date stats. Don't spend your money in those states. Don't contribute to their economies that are oppressing women and girls. The least rapey state, by the way, is Iowa. I don't know what's going on in Iowa. They must be better people. I don't know, but from this source, Iowa is the least rapey state. Oh well. African Americans have the highest prevalence of forced sexual assault. A lifetime prevalence of rape of all females is 22% in the African American demographic. Now remember, we're barely 12.5% of the population, right? Black women have the highest risk for sexual assault and the highest number of reported assaults. Risk factors: substance abuse for all demographics of women, okay? And this article was race, ethnicity, substance abuse, and unwanted sexual intercourse among adolescent females, okay? And this is from the Western Journal of Emergency Medicine. And this was a while ago, over 8 years ago, but the trends still hold. Black folks have a sexual assault problem. Let me say this again. Black folks have a sexual assault problem. We need to admit that and deal with it. There's a theory that this lovely lady at Wayne State University came up with called cultural betrayal trauma theory. And her name is Jennifer Gomez. And I looked at her article, and this is what she says, some of what she says. I'm paraphrasing. Intercultural trust, which is loyal attachment, responsibility, and connection to people, is built for people who are within an ethnic group or a racial demographic as protection from a hostile society. That's definitely Black people, right? But that trust is violated. When that trust is violated, it's called cultural betrayal. Intracultural pressure demands that the victim protect the perpetrator to save face amongst other ethnic groups. We ain't fooling anybody. What will the white people think? Don't make Black people look bad. You look bad anyway. Other people know this stuff. So the more reason to protect yourself and know your options, report sexual assault, save the DNA evidence. I know you want that crap off of you as fast as possible, but save it. Now, a lot of rape kits are backlogged in terms of processing, but still have one. Okay, have one done. And avoid pregnancy at all costs. Now, so regardless of, I think I skipped a slide here, but regardless of what you use, always have plan B around, just in case you think there's a contraceptive failure. Peace, love, and light to you, ladies. Be careful out there. Divest, divest, divest. You deserve so much better. Stop wasting your pretty. Stop wasting your time. Avoid anchor babies. They put you in a compromised, vulnerable position. Go to the store and look at the prices of the disposable diapers, baby formula, clothes, etc. If your money cannot stretch, skip the mama shit. Okay? Okay. And another thing I would like to say that this is the slide that I accidentally skipped. Why protect men who feel that you deserve none? A wedding ring, relationship, or an anchor baby should not be a mechanism in order to victimize you through exploitation and degradation. That's not where a woman or a girl should be, okay? It is sick, destructive, and mean-spirited. And it basically tells you that your community thinks you are disposable. You're not disposable. You're not refuse. You are one of a kind. So don't become a mother to children you do not want, or a mother to a community that does not want or value you. Let it go. Let it go. Divest. Okay, so that's all for now. And like I said, I know I kind of flew through these, but you can take a look at these and at your, at your own on your own time, okay, at your leisure. So this is Auntie Ebony again, signing off. Bye for now.